Join us as we take a trip to the land of the Bigfoot, or otherwise known as Sasquatch, as we go up to Whitehall, New York, and meet some real Bigfoot investigators and witnesses on this week's Back to Paranormal. Well, welcome to our show, Back to Paranormal. This is a show where we talk about a lot of things in the paranormal world, like ghosts and near-death experiences and UFOs and Sasquatch and a lot of different things. I'm here. My name is Brian Mitchell, and this is my co-host,
Marjorie.
Marjorie, how are you today? You're so beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Well, I have very rosy cheeks because it has started to get chilly at night.
It is getting chilly at night.
And then I come inside and I'm toasty.
Well,
and they get red.
well, on this episode, we happened to find out, and in the last minute, I didn't even know this was a thing, up in Whitehall, New York, which is up by the Adirondacks.
Southern end of the Adirondack.
That's right. Where they have witnessed Bigfoot. And that's, if you're not sure of the geography of the area, it's very close to Canada at that point. And it's a lot of wilderness.
It is a lot of wilderness. I've climbed several of the Adirondack Mountains. I've spent quite a bit of time up there and out in the woods for days, and I absolutely love it up there. As our faithful listeners who know me know that I am a 100% Bigfoot believer.
Oh no!
Oh yeah! Oh you! I am a blind believer. I have heard something.
Right.
And I've described it and to people who know. And I knew in my gut when I heard this screaming in the woods that I was like, oh boy, that is something.
That sounds like something.
And I also spent quite a big part of my life working in the Northwest. So primarily Wyoming, Montana, for people who live out there. And in my work there, I made a lot of friends with outdoorsmen and outdoorswomen and, real mountain men. And they all have said strange things, things that they've felt, heard, large rocks being thrown at them, big branches breaking, tree knocks, everything, the hallmark,
the whole shebang.
Yeah, the hallmark signals of the presence of a Bigfoot.
Right.
I have never seen one. I've never seen a track, anything like that. But I've been just dying to find the best opportunity to give you all a show about Sasquatch on Back to Paranormal, and we stumbled upon this
The Mother Lode
in New York State, the Whitehall annual Sasquatch Festival and Calling Contest.
Okay, about a 5-hour trip from Long Island, New York. Anyway, before we start this, because we got a lot to cover before we go into the show, which was basically recorded a few days back. And we had some, we'll talk about our little difficulties that we had. But what are we drinking tonight?
Oh, well, I figured tall, really dark Guinness.
Oh, okay. So this is our Bigfoot Guinness.
This is our Bigfoot Guinness.
There we go. Okay, we're going to boop, okay? Everybody, get your Guinness out.
Yeah, bust it out.
Bust
Boop.
it out. Here we go. Boop. Ooh.
Nice.
Yes. Okay, Here we go. I'm taking a big gulp.
Down the hatch. Oh, boy, that's good.
That is good.
I poured it well, didn't I?
You did. You did a great job.
I'm very particular about that.
Yes, and I think you poured mine better than you poured your own.
Yes, I did.
You did.
I was hyper-focused.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had some. This was supposed to be up on Tuesday night, and we had purchased a new piece of equipment, which is basically it's a mobile device where we can do the interviews, and basically it's a lightweight audio device. And I had set it on auto because it seemed to be working on auto setting. And this is the thing with smart technology. Sometimes it's too smart. And because when we were driving up, we recorded some stuff going up, and it seemed to be okay. And that was kind of our little test. But when we got there, there was a lot of music, there were crowds. And so our smart microphone was picking up music in the background.
Too smart for its own darn good.
That's right. And elevating the level on auto. And then when I would talk or you would talk into the microphone, it was crackling. It was basically trying to pick up that music in the background, and then us being close to the mic, and it came out really, really distorted, and to the point where we were like, both kind
it sounded horrid. It was
yes,
horrendous.
We were. I don't want to say we were panicking, but it was. But we were like, "This is not going on."
This is not our
Tuesday
show.
night.
It's not our show.
And so we had to do some tinkering, and so.
Well, you had to do the tinkering, my darling.
Well, thank you so much. And I have a little bit of audio knowledge, being in this field for a long, long time, mainly as an animator. But I used to do a lot of audio editing and stuff, and editing. And I was able to take the sound and put it through. Normally, we just edit this in a regular music program, which serves quite well for the podcast. But in this instance, it was just a mess. And so I had to take the files and put it through another audio program, which I know, I'm boring people to death. I'm getting too technical. But
the trials and tribulations of mobile podcasting, guys. Hey, look, you know what? I was too scared to even use the microphone. I was chicken.
No, you were brave, and you were. But anyway, so I managed to get the audio fixed.
He worked very hard on this for you all. So.
Yeah, so it is being presented tonight, and it should sound fine. So
it sounds great, honey. You did a really good job.
Well, thank you so much. And we didn't know what to expect as we went up to Whitehall. We didn't know what we were going to be faced with. We had a lot of people chicken out on a lot of interviews. You know, people that actually had
I was so disappointed. So many. I would finally screw up the courage to approach some grizzled old man and be like, hey, you know, basically, you look like you've been around, so let's talk. And they would tell this amazing story, and then the minute I said, well, how about we talk about it and we record it for our show?
Yeah, and then they slink away.
They would skulk off.
Yes.
Skulk.
We had that happen actually 2 or 3 times. And we were like,
hey, you know how to really hurt a gal, you know, feeling a lot of rejection.
A lot of rejection. But then we got into our stride, into our professional attitude.
They were happier to talk to you.
And I think they're happy to talk to you too. But I don't
think so, guys.
Well, you know, we got some really good interviews, and after maybe about a half hour of being a little bit discouraged the way it was going, but the show was actually pretty good. They had
the attendance was people came from all over, and then we stayed later on that night at a hotel that was roughly about almost an hour away, maybe 45 minutes, and there were people staying there who
that's right
had been to the thing,
who had been to it. Yeah. So it was very interesting. But you're going to hear some basically the cream of the crop of we interviewed some of the people that had some booths there. We interviewed some of the people who were attending.
Investigators.
And then about 4 good interviews with investigators, including what I consider the granddaddy of them all.
He really is.
Brian Gosselin.
He really is.
And he's basically a police officer, and he ran into a Bigfoot. There was an incident where he was maybe about 35 feet away from Bigfoot, and he describes it in such vivid detail. If you listen to him, and you'll hear the pauses, and that's basically because you could see it in his face that he was really filled with emotion. And I mean all these
really beautiful story. And what I just want to launch this off by saying we saved best for last, so his testimony is at the end there. But what a pleasure to have met this gentleman, and what a lovely, lovely man. He is straight as an arrow. He's a straight shooter. Yeah. 2nd generation law enforcement. So he knows a story needs to be watertight. His is. Mm-hmm. And just a lovely, lovely human being. And I was so honored to have met him. And he has a book that we actually decided to pick up. Yes, early Christmas present for Marjorie.
There you go. And it's basically about his encounter and his
Aubert Road by Brian Gosselin.
And his wife, Sue.
Oh, excuse me. And his wife, Sue.
Who happens to be a psychic medium.
Oh, but that's so fitting.
Yeah, exactly.
They must have a very wonderful connection between the two.
But we got some other wonderful interviews from a couple of different people.
Some really nice folks.
Yeah, and so basically this is all leading up to the last one, and I think it's an entertaining time that we had. So I know people who went there are waiting to listen to this as well.
Sorry for the technical difficulties.
Yes, really sorry about that. But we wanted to deliver a good show rather than just pushing it out there and have it crackle all over the place. And you wouldn't want to listen to it if it was like that.
And thanks to you for salvaging all that.
Well, thank you so much. I do my best.
Yes, you do.
And so here we go. We're going to go right into the show, and then we'll pick it up afterwards, and we'll give some commentary at the end. What do you think about that?
I love it.
Okay, so here we go. Our trip to the Sasquatch Festival in Whitehall, New York. Please sit back and enjoy.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
How are you?
Good.
Okay.
We are heading off. We're actually we're based on Long Island, New York, but we came up.
I need to plug myself in.
Oh, you've got to plug yourself in.
Yeah.
Okay. I've neglected to do that because you went in the back. So here we are in upstate New York, and we still have another 3 hours to go, but we're heading off from a secret location, which is actually very pretty, and and you're very pretty tonight.
Well, thank you.
This morning, actually.
Because I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
How was your night? How did you sleep?
The beds were very, very comfortable, but not enough support for my back, unfortunately.
Oh no!
So
What a way to start the day.
Yeah, I slept a good couple of hours, and then I was kind of like in and out, waking up and. But I just want to say the place that we stayed at now has draft beer. So
I do. I saw that. I read that sign.
That big sign.
But it's a little early in the morning for us to give you our boop.
Yeah.
And if you want to know how I slept.
How'd you sleep?
Oh, thank you for asking. I woke up really early because I was so excited. So
tell the people where we're going.
The reason I'm so excited, in case you're wondering, is we are going up to Whitehall, New York, which is just in the southern part of the Adirondacks. It's north of Saratoga.
Yes.
For the annual Sasquatch Festival and Calling Contest.
I'm passing by a local honey for sale over here. I think they have a dog there, so maybe the dog's name is Honey. Okay.
So we will be there in 3 hours, and I am so excited that we're finally...
I love the deadpan. It was like it wasn't even worthy. It wasn't a worthy joke to you, so you were just like...
there are times when I can pretend, and then there are times when...
You can't handle this.
Well, when, like a child, I'm excited about a Sasquatch Festival, which, listeners, by the way, this is my first Sasquatch. It's definitely your first, but I thought that people would be surprised to hear that this is my first go at this kind of an event. The Adirondack the Adirondacks are not a state park. It's not a national park. It's a nature preserve, and it's massive. It is a terrain that is absolutely beautiful.
Like you.
Thank you, my darling.
You're even more beautiful when you laugh at my lousy jokes.
Many a time I'm able to do it.
Okay.
I can't pull it off every time, my love.
Okay. Well, all right. I'm good.
The Adirondacks are an area that are larger. They cover more terrain than Yellowstone, Yosemite, the Great Smoky Mountains, Glacier combined. All those parks combined. So, and it's there are some areas that are very remote, and it's a popular spot for Sasquatch sightings. So we are going to go up there, speak with some locals, wish us luck, and at the end of the day, we will watch, not participate in, unless the spirit moves you, darling.
No, it's not moving me for this.
It's not going to move you?
No.
In the annual Sasquatch calling contest. So we will be back at you in 3 hours. All right.
3 hours.
3 hours. Love ya.
And it's going to feel like a second.
Yes.
Because
the magic of yes.
Yes.
Okay. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay, we're interviewing some people for the podcast. See what brought them up here to Whitehall. What's your name, sir?
My name's Kevin.
Hey, Kevin. So, where are you from?
I'm from Gloversville, New York.
Where's that?
It's down south, I think. It's by Johnstown, New York, west of Schenectady.
Right. So you have an interest in Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and...
Yeah, it's an interest. I've always been interested in the paranormal and the supernatural my whole life.
Well, you'd love our podcast then.
Check it out, yeah.
Yeah. So how'd you find out about this? This has been going on for a while, this thing.
Well, me and my buddy over there, we were talking about, we talk about supernatural stuff every once in a while, and we're both interested in Sasquatch. Right. And then it kind of came up on social media. We found it. I mean, he found it on Facebook, and we're like, we got to go check that out. It looks cool.
I think that's how we found out about it. And we trekked up here from Long Island. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So, have you ever seen a Bigfoot? Or have you know anybody that's seen a Bigfoot?
I've never personally seen a Bigfoot in my life.
Right. Have you heard one?
Not in person. No.
Yeah, we've interviewed some people who have actually done this investigations and stuff, and they all seem to say the same thing. Like it sounds like a cross between like an elephant and like a screaming woman.
Yeah.
So no, it's pretty interesting. Well, anyway, thank you for talking with us.
No problem, buddy. Have a good day.
Okay, you too. Well, it's Brian, and I'm here at the festival here, and we're interviewing some of the vendors here. And what's your name?
Marcia Williams.
Okay, Marcia, and your name?
Catherine Ray.
Okay, so you are here at the festival, and you're serving coffee, which I could have used maybe about 2 hours ago. What's the name of your brand here?
Sasquatch Sightings.
There you go. Very inventive. So are you enjoying the festival? Do you come here every year, or?
We actually are helping our parents close up their cabin, and we come just because we are from here locally.
Oh, okay.
So.
All right. Do you believe in Sasquatch?
Of course. We're selling this coffee.
You are. It looks delicious, though. Have you ever heard any Sasquatch, or have you seen Sasquatch, or?
You know, it was interesting. Even last night, we heard these weird noises in the woods. I mean, it could have been an owl. It's hard to say, right? But pretty dense, dark, lot of things can happen in the woods.
All right. Are you going to be back next year?
Maybe, I think we probably will. Yes. Yeah.
All right. Very cool. Okay. Has it been successful for you this year?
It has been. It's been an adventure just because we really love the coffee brand we have. We love what we put in it, and we love how the people that have come here like it as well. So it's pretty unique, and we might. Yeah, who knows?
Do you sell us online, or is this just?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Oh, okay. So Sasquatch Sightings. That's the name of it. And where can they get it? Do you have a website or?
There is a QR code right there on our poster.
Okay, we can't do that on our audio podcast, but is it SasquatchSightings.com or anything like that? Or
It's actually through Apothecary Coffee. It's a place out of Ohio that has a custom blend for us.
Oh, okay. All right. So they can order it through there. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Have a good day now.
Thanks.
Okay, it's Brian, and we're here with
Mike Famelant.
And your name, sir?
Dwight
Okay.
with a D.
Okay. So the first name, just remember that. And so you're here at the Sasquatch Festival here in Whitehall. So have you done any investigations?
Oh, all the time. I tent camped 129 nights just last year looking for Bigfoot. This year we're on track to do 139 nights.
Yikes! That's a lot. That's a lot. How long do these investigations go? They go for one night, or they go for a couple of days? Or?
Usually about a week or so, depending on how long I'm in the area for.
Okay. Now you have some castings over here.
Yeah.
How many castings were you able to make?
Well, these ones, a couple of them are second-generation copies. Ones I've gotten from professional researchers that have gotten them. But some of the smaller ones I've actually taken from out of the field myself. So 4 of them actually came directly from the ground from my casting material.
Wow. So when was the last? Have you ever seen a Bigfoot?
No, I can't say I have. I've devoted I do this full time. I do Bigfoot research full time, and I have never seen a Bigfoot.
Have you ever heard a Bigfoot?
Absolutely, yes.
What do they sound like to you?
Okay, yeah. Like a howling, like a hoo-ah, long, sustained, and sometimes they whistle, sometimes they rock clack together, clap or knock on trees, all different mimicking signs of Bigfoot.
Wow, very interesting. I mean, we're talking to a lot of investigators. We just interviewed, it was Brian Gosselin.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, what was interesting was when he was talking about his experience, it was like you could see he was choking up, which was pretty amazing. I mean, how do you think you would react if you actually saw Bigfoot?
That's a great question. 3 P's, pee, poop, or pass out. One of the 3 is what I'm going to do. I don't know in what order, but all of them are probably going to get hit at some point.
I think I'd do all 3.
Yeah. No, I know when you heard the noise, when you were out there and you heard the cry, did that evoke any sort of emotion to you?
Well, absolutely. It was really cool because there were 5 of us with 5 voice recorders going at the same time when we heard this vocalization, and it was a series of 3 long sustained howls, and then that got the coyotes really riled up afterwards. So I actually stepped on the vocalization. I said, "That's not a coyote," and I shouldn't have said that, but I did. And
but that was your gut response, so that's important. Yeah.
Which is really cool is I sent that clip away to a linguist from the military who happens to do Bigfoot research on the side. So he's like perfectly apt to listen to my Bigfoot audio, right? And he came back with this 5-page report that said because of X, Y, and Z, it's outside of human vocal range, and it's no known animal from Northwest New Jersey.
That's crazy. It's crazy.
And that's a scientist in the military.
Are you from here? Where are you from?
New Jersey.
So you made the trek up here?
Yeah, we're camping at Half Moon Pond State Park right now, filming our episodes.
Oh, very, very cool.
Yeah.
So does your stuff appear on YouTube or?
Yep.
So, oh, that's very neat.
We have a weekly every Monday. New episode comes out every Monday on our YouTube channel.
Well, ours is on every Tuesday, but it's
no competition.
No competition. No, we're not. No, we're not. So what is the name of that? What is the name?
It's called In the Shadow of Big Red Eye.
Ah.
And Big Red Eye is Sussex County, New Jersey's Bigfoot. In 1972, there was a state park ranger that went on record and said that during his night investigation, his patrol, he saw 2 pairs of reflecting red eyes. And he wrote that down in his report, and then the newspaper got a hold of that, and thus the name Big Red Eye was born.
All right, so what's your name?
My name is Alexander Szynski.
Okay, Alexander. So what brings you up here to Whitehall?
Well, I didn't really know anything about it, but then my brother brought it up a few years ago, and ever since, like, because in our household, it's always like something to talk about. Like, we're all like, it's something to believe in, and so it was just fun to believe in. And he introduced us into this festival a few years ago, and we've been coming ever since.
Okay, have you ever had an encounter with Sasquatch?
Unfortunately, not personally.
Okay, any other encounters?
Well, I have had a UFO encounter. Me and my friend were going to work on one of our off days just to eat there. It was a pizza place, and he had a sunroof in his car. I was just looking straight up, and it like there was this orange light coming in, like at a consistent speed all throughout the sky, and then it was dusk, keep in mind, so it was dark out, but you could still see, and the orange light went out, and you could see this circular, like, object in the sky.
You could see the outline of it.
Correct, yeah, exactly. And so all of a sudden the orange light turned back on, and it went in like a V direction, so it was coming in at a consistent speed, and then all of a sudden it went in a V direction, like, and it shot like light speed,
like lightning.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, I hope you're having fun here. You having fun?
No, I'm having a great time. Yeah, it's awesome.
All right. Very cool. Thank you. Thank you for doing the interview. Okay. Take care.
Enjoy your time.
Hey, so this is Brian from the Back to Paranormal podcast. We have a guest here. What's your name, sir?
My name's Joey Sirigliano, and I lead the paranormal investigation troupe called Finding Dystopia on YouTube.
Oh, very neat. Very neat. So what is that all about? Is that Sasquatch, or is that? It's a lot of different things, right?
We've decided not to limit ourselves, because paranormal, whether it be aliens, Bigfoot, ghosts, demons, whatever the case is, we're going to delve into it. As a matter of fact, we even wanted to get as far as to go to check out what Champ is about. Like, get a boat, rent a boat, go out onto the actual Lake Champlain and see if we can get any echolocation underwater.
Right. We, our podcast, we deal with near-death communications, after death. I've had after-death communications with my dad. And so, so that's been, some real fantastic stuff. I'm writing a book about that stuff. But with this type of thing, my fiancée, her name is Marjorie. She was just over there. She's in the shade right now. She, but she believes in Bigfoot, but she's had stuff happen to her. So, how many have you done any Bigfoot investigations?
Well, so far we've done 4. We've done 2 overnights, one of which was in Hogtown, New York, or like the Lake George area. Right. The other one was right off a Bear Road, where actually Brian had his encounter.
This is in Whitehall.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, sir. And he also took us for a trip down the Pulteney River. We took 2 boats. We took a kayak and a rowboat. And we went down the Pulteney looking for tracks or anything that we could find in the clay.
Right. Now, you have a booth here, and Brian has some of his castings. You have a casting of your own, right?
Yes. As a matter of fact, we trudged through the woods quite far to get that track. Mm-hmm. My co-host, Anthony, was a little bit ahead of me on the trail. He managed to find some grass that was very heavily weighed down. Looked like something big was in there. And he got down on hands and knees and tried to find where the exit strategy would be for whatever was laying in there. And as he managed to find a track.
Wow. Very neat. Very neat. Are you going to continue on with this?
With the Bigfoot stuff, yes. We're not going to be, what's the word I'm looking for? We're not going to be just Bigfoot. Like I said, we're going to delve into a lot of different aspects of paranormal. Our last season was just ghosts.
Okay.
And this season we've involved cryptids, and we're going to get into UFOs. We're going to get into the Hudson Valley soon and see at night if we can actually put some signals up into the air with a laser. We have a high-powered laser.
Wow, that's neat.
So we're looking to do some really cool stuff in the future.
Yeah, it sounds pretty interesting. Are you of the belief, like, normally when we talk about stuff, we try to keep things separate, but when we're talking with Brian, he believes that UFOs may have something to do with Bigfoot.
That's a really good question. I've heard that many times from different people. I've watched a documentary from Small Town Monsters that also covered that. It is a possibility. I think that the portal theory and a possible alien connection could be a thing. The reason, hence, I bought a Geiger meter to see if any radiation was present at any of the sightings.
And did you find any?
We found small radiation amounts in Hogtown, but nothing further north.
And when you do the castings, do you also, like when you did the casting, did you check the radiation?
I did.
And was there anything there?
No, nothing above normal, to be honest with you. So it kind of stayed within range.
Do you have any other theories about Bigfoot? I mean, Bigfoot has been, or Sasquatch, or whatever you want to call it, the Yeti, it's been around for centuries. Yeah. So even with the Native Americans and do you have a theory about that at all, or
about the Native Americans?
Well, the connection with that and Sasquatch.
Well, the Native Americans were very heavily into the spiritual world, so I would say, is Sasquatch somewhat that? It's a possibility, definitely.
That happens to be our motto on the show. Yeah, right, anything. So, yeah, it's a possibility. So,
but you can't rule anything out with the search for this thing because we don't know anything about it. And what I'm really hoping for, that maybe not in my generation, but maybe the next, that they'll be diligent enough to go out in the woods and search for this type of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hopefully for good though, and not for.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, okay. Well. I wish you much more success, continued success with what you're doing, and hopefully find the holy grail of the
of the paranormal world, right?
What's the name of the podcast you do?
We were doing a podcast called The Other Side, but the podcast didn't seem to be catching fire on YouTube as much as we wanted it to. Okay. So we just kind of went back to our regular investigations. Yeah. So we started posting twice a month with that, but the podcast we left on the back burner.
Okay, well,
The name of the channel, in case anybody is looking for it, it's called Finding Dystopia at YouTube.com. You also can find us Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Very good.
I'm Marjorie. How do you do? What's your name?
Wani.
Eric.
Where are you coming from?
Rutland, Vermont.
And you?
Same.
Have you ever heard, seen, or felt the presence of a Sasquatch?
I have not. No.
Nope.
You've never had rocks thrown at you? Do you spend a lot of time in the woods? Anything like that?
Not a lot of time in the woods, so no, I have not had that experience ever.
I spend a lot of the time in the woods. I hunt, but I've never had any experience like that.
Is it just your pure belief in Sasquatch that brings you here, or is it the beer and the band?
More like people watching.
Yeah, definitely people watching.
There are a lot of listeners. There are a lot of interesting people to watch here. Would you agree?
Yes, there's a lot of people to.
Definitely.
The band is really good.
The band is excellent. Thank you so much for speaking with us. Enjoy our podcast.
Will do. Yes. Thank you.
Oh, the podcast is on the card? Yes. All right. Great. Thanks.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So your name?
I'm Jason Lorfeis. I'm a Bigfoot researcher, and I'm based out of the Burlington, Vermont area.
So you made the trek over here. This is a big event. This seems like it's getting bigger every year, correct?
Last year we had close to 2,000 people, and I'm seeing roughly around the same turnout rate. So we're doing pretty good this year.
Well, very good. Tell us about your first Bigfoot experience. Did you ever see a Bigfoot?
I had one in 2013 out in Castleton. Not to disclose the area because it's on some of that area borders on private land, and anyways, this was an area that I was searching previously a couple of years to that, and this was in late summer, early fall, and I was the reason why I was going back to this area is because I was hearing weird voices in the middle of the night. Because I was out there late at night, and sometimes I would camp out there, and I for some reason I couldn't understand who was out there in the woods without a flashlight, and I could not make out what they were saying because the voices were a little, too far away to actually make out any kind of syllables of any kind. So the third night I was out there, this must have been like probably around 12:30 at night, I heard the most god-awful, blood-curdling scream you can ever imagine. It almost sounded like a woman screaming and an elephant trumpeting at once.
That seems to be the consensus, right?
I mean, the lung capacity on these things are just massive. So I got a little nervous because it didn't sound like it was that far away. But then about 30 seconds later, it did it again, only this time it sounded a little closer. So I got in my car, I put my windows down, and I go and drive down the road because that was the only way out of there. And as I'm going around a turn, I noticed some black object on the side of the road, and my thoughts were, well, how did that get there? That wasn't there when I drove up here. Now I'm gonna have to get out of the car and move it. As soon as my headlights hit it, he stood up, took 2 steps, and gone into the woods.
How fast do you think it was moving?
I was probably going less than 10 miles an hour because it was a dirt road, potholes, and I had a sedan that wasn't really equipped for back roading, so I couldn't really go that fast. He was probably maybe 10 yards in front of me. If I was going any faster, I would have hit it.
Wow. What were your emotions when you saw this thing?
I was almost... I'll say this, it damn near gave me a heart attack.
Yeah.
So as it was walking, it was very dark in color. It had to have been, I'm guessing, 7.5, 8 feet in height. I mean, they don't make people that big.
No.
If someone was saying someone was playing a joke on you, well, nobody knew I was up there, for one, and I don't know anyone that hangs out in the woods dressed like that. They're just asking to get shot. Anyways, I saw it. It swung its arms once, and it took 2 steps, and by that time it was already into the woods. As I'm driving past it, I could hear sticks and branches breaking as it was going off into the woods.
Wow. Okay, so was that the only time you've seen is just
interactions with one? And I'll tell you my recent one. Recently, out in Lake George. This was out in the western part of the lake, out in an area, Sabbath Day Point. Just back in July, I left some food. I tried something called gifting. So I left some McDonald's fries and a cheeseburger on this large rock. Now this was an area that was deep in the woods, so it's not like you're going to walk onto a trail and see it there.
Right.
You're going for a little bit of a trek there. The next day I came back. The fries were there, but the cheeseburger was gone. A rock probably about the size of my fist was there in place where the cheeseburger was. So something left me something in return, but why it didn't take the fries, well, I can't really blame them for that. Food is garbage anyways.
So sometimes when the fries get cold, they're not at all appetizing.
I noticed that, but their food, fast food, kind of has more of an aroma that carries deeper in the woods. That's why I put that there.
No, it's smart. You wrote a book on Bigfoot, yes. And what's the name of that book?
Mountain Giants of the Adirondacks.
Okay. And where's that available?
Amazon.
Oh, very cool.
Or you could get them through me here at the festival.
Okay, very good. Well, these people are going to be hearing it like a couple of days or even a couple of months from now. So, but
back next year for anyone that's interested in this stuff. I mean, we're here. I'll definitely be here.
Right. Well, very cool. Okay, so we're with your name?
Jill.
Hi, Jill. How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good. Are you having fun at the Whitehall Sasquatch Festival?
I am. I never knew about it until this year, and I think it's great.
Neither did we. So what brought you up here?
My friend told me about it, and I've had mutual friends in the past having an interest in Sasquatch sightings and actually going on overnight trips in the woods to try to get their own sighting. Right. Maura Griffin, I'm talking to you.
All right, and have you ever heard of Bigfoot, or have you seen a Bigfoot?
I have not seen one. Of course, I've heard of them, but growing up in the 70s, it was always a big news item, and who knows? I've been a believer. It could happen, right? So
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you have any friends that have actually heard or seen?
Unfortunately, I have not had any friends that have actually heard or seen, but I mean, everybody that I know would love to have a claim to fame of seeing or hearing Bigfoot.
I'm sure. Well, enjoy the festival, and thank you for talking with us.
Well, thank you so much. Sorry I couldn't be more help.
No, that's great. Thank you. Yeah. Well, this is Brian. I'm over here at the Whitehall Sasquatch Festival, and we're here with Mr. Brian Gosselin. And he's a Bigfoot expert. He's out there investigating and stuff. And how long have you been doing this now?
Over 40 years.
Wow. So, how'd this start with you?
Well, the way it started was I was on duty one night as a police officer here at the village, and I had a couple guys. It had to be my brother and one of his friends come in saying they saw a creature out on Abear Road. They in turn got a hold of another guy, Mark Kinney. I got to mention these guys because I wouldn't have known about it if they weren't out there riding around looking for a place to. But anyway, when they reported to me, I asked them if they're smoking a little weed, if they're drinking a little beer. No, these guys were wound up big time. That was my brother and Marty Paddock. And I couldn't leave the village because I was on duty. And I called my dad, who had just gone off duty. He was a sergeant here in Whitehall. He in turn told me to call the state police and the sheriff's department and tell them he'd meet him out there in 10 minutes because we're only a little ways from there anyway. Well, everybody showed up, 2 troopers, 2 sheriffs, my dad, Mark Kinney, Marty Paddock, and they all saw the same thing on the opposite side of the road from where I had my encounter. Only 2 admitted to seeing anything. And one of them, anyway. They all saw something. And back then you didn't make waves. I don't care if you were a state trooper or who you were, because you didn't want the government officials knocking on your door. So I had a state trooper that was on duty, asked me if I wanted to go out the next night. That was my night off. I couldn't know well because it was a Tuesday night. We were there probably a half an hour, give or take, but we started hearing trees, not branches, but trees being snapped. And it was so quiet out there, and this time of the year up in here, you go out in the country, you can hardly hear yourself think with the crickets and the katydids and the tree peepers and all that stuff. There wasn't a sound, absolutely nothing. Well, the state trooper was above me on top of a hill out in the field where the grass was 6-7 inches tall, where I was out in the field that was hadn't been cut at all that year, hayfield. It was all farmland back then. And the grass was up to my hips when I was outside. But the first thing I did was take my dome light out of my car, lock the passenger side door just in case. I got my door wide open, and I get out, and I'm spotlighting every once in a while, but all the time we're hearing trees being snapped. And it's getting closer, and it's in between me and the trooper, and we're roughly 1,500 feet apart or so. Next thing I know, we were on the CB radio, so a place we could talk, because he's got a police radio. I don't have that stuff. I'm not on duty. And next thing I know, I hear Jim saying, what the blank is, and I'm getting the blank out of here. And he tore off out of there like a hell bent for leather. So now I'm scratching my head saying, well, either he's got a call and he's just pulling his own kind of prank, because Jim was a pretty good prankster to an extent. We used to play hide and seek when we were clapped. See if you can find me. I'm in the village. You can be in the town somewhere. Got to kill time somehow. And he took off, and I'm sitting out in the field. I'm roughly 300, 400 feet off the road out in the field. And I could still hear snapping off in the direction where the trooper was. I only heard it one more time, and it wasn't as loud. Then I started hearing a whooshing noise. And I always described it, and always will, as somebody wearing corduroy pants and their thighs rubbing together. That's what it sounded like. Of course, it's all dry hay. That's roughly 3 feet high. And I'm still spotlighting. And I didn't realize, I'm going to throw this in because I forgot it out there. I'm on the hill and there's a gully like this. All this time I'm spotlighting, I'm shooting over top of this thing. I'm shooting over top of it. That's why, and somebody pointed, he says, where were you? And where was it when it was coming? I said, right there. He said, you sure you weren't shooting over the head of that thing? That's exactly what I was doing. But anyway, something told me, turn your light on now. And right off the right front fender of my car, there's a creature that's 7.5, 8 foot tall, probably 400 plus pounds, covered with a dark reddish black hair. As soon as I hit it with a spotlight, it brought its hands, not paws, hands up, covered its eyes, and they were size of mayonnaise jar covers, and they were red. Wow. Not glowing red, but you could tell they were red like you look at a fire truck in the dark with a flashlight.
Wow.
And it threw its head back and made such a deep, deep, guttural roar. I describe it like a male elephant and a male lion combination with the noises they make, and it was so loud I could feel the vibration in my chest. It was roughly 30, 35 feet, no farther away from me than that. Wow. I could feel it in my chest.
What was your emotion when that happened?
Emotions were all over the place. You have feelings you don't even know you've got yet. You're experiencing something. Is it real? Is it unreal? Is it a man in a monkey suit? Is it a bear? Is it? You know what it is. Right. But you don't know exactly what it is either. Yeah. And I relived my whole, I was only 24 or 26, I forget. But anyway, I relived my whole lifetime in a split second. Births of my sisters, everything. I mean, everything that you remember in your life is bang, it's right there in an instant, and it's like your life flashing before your eyes. I know exactly what they're talking about now.
Was that because of fear or just...
Was I scared? Not like a kid being afraid of the boogeyman under the bed. Did I have fear? You bet your ass I had fear. Did I fear for my life or anything? No. Because when we made that initial eye contact, and this is before it threw its head back, all I could hear in my head is, I'm not going to hurt you, not going to hurt you, not going to hurt you. That's all I could hear. That's when it turned to its left because the hair hung down on its arms like an orangutan. And now I'm looking at the back of it, and it's taking super long strides. And now the hair on the back was rolled in the opposite way. Instead of going up and down, it was left to right. And it was thinner.
Like parted from the back.
Yeah. You could see the spinal column. I could see the muscles in its buttocks, the back of its legs, in its back. And that's when I noticed, I said, this is no man in a monkey suit or anything like that. So you could see the muscle structure working as he's proceeding to go away. Wow. And when it finally made it all the way across the field, back down the farther corner by Carver's Falls, he turned around, did 3 more those guttural calls, but they weren't as loud and they didn't seem threatening. I didn't feel threatened from the first one, but this one here, it's just when I got a total feeling of calm. I was just calm as a cucumber. And now I'm sitting there scratching my head. What the hell did I just see? What did I just experience? What was it? Where did it come from? You got a bazillion questions bouncing around in your head.
Yeah, sure. So when that was over, I mean, I'm sure there was some contemplation, trying to figure out what was going on. When did you start to seriously start investigating this stuff?
Oh my God, it was a good 15 years went by because we were. I'm going to tell you this. I come from a poor family. I come from a family of 10 way back in the 50s. There wasn't a lot of jobs. Well, anyway, that's beside the point. So, the goddamn Goslins. They're Goslins. They're always seeing something, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm sorry my name is Goslin. I'm sorry I experienced what I did, and I had the balls to come forth. And I can't tell you how many police officers, retired police officers, firemen, have called me 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning because they figured about time change. Thank you for writing the book and coming forward with your story. Right. I got 2 retired police officers out of New York City that bought me a camcorder. They said, you need this stuff for your investigations. And these guys, I brought them up here and took them out. We had a great time. Did we see anything? No, saw a lot of eagles. Right. 25 feet away from us, sitting in a tree looking down at us. But
we saw a lot of eagles coming up, but it's we've talked with a lot of people, psychic mediums and people who have that they believe what they believe. And the thing that comes across here is the fact that there's a lot of emotion coming over you as you're describing this, and it takes a lot of bravery to come out and talk about this stuff, because we try to talk to some people coming up to the stage to see you, and they were happy to talk to us about it until we went to record them, and they were like, oh no, I don't want to. And so
yeah, we get that.
Do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions, but I do. One thing that really strikes me is what I think is very fascinating. I mean, yes, you see eagles and they're beautiful, but we know that they exist, and you already, because of their beauty, you feel you're riveted. Your soul is riveted by this sense of awe, which I can only imagine when you lay your eyes on something that so few people actually do believe in. All that fear and all of that questioning and uncertainty and am I losing my mind right now? All those already very complicated, complex emotions that are swirling around inside you are amplified by that awe, where you're suddenly realizing there's so much more that we don't know. And it suddenly opens your awareness to almost a spherical capacity. Is that why your emotions are so deep?
It's just something that it's a hard thing to explain. I get emotional talking about it because I'm reliving it to an extent. But it's like what I do, and we do a lot of investigations. We just got a fresh cast a week and a half ago, and I could tell, it's ever since my encounter, if we go to an area where we've never been, if I'm in there 15, 20 minutes to a half an hour, I can tell you if one's been here and if we're going to find anything. And 8, 9 times out of 10, we find something. My wife can't believe it, and she's a psychic medium and all this.
Wow.
She's in quite a few books, my wife is. Yep.
She's obviously she's open to all these experiences.
I said, everybody wants to see one, but they don't run around like herds of horses or cattle up here. And every bump in the night is not a Bigfoot. You get these people, well, nothing wrong with people from the city, but they come up here thinking you're going to go out, and there's half a dozen of them out there, and a half a dozen, we saw one cross the road. It's not like that. We have to bust our rear ends on investigations where we've heard there was possibly something there. If we find a cast, we do. If we don't, we don't. They aren't all over the place like foot tracks in the snow with a herd of people.
We believe in a lot of different phenomena, and that's why we're doing this podcast. And we come at it from a skeptical point of view, which you have to. And I think with people who do ghost investigations and stuff like that, you can't accept just anything and everything. We did our own investigation of a haunted road on Long Island. And, we went in, open, but, also let's not just take anything at face value. Yeah. But you were talking before about UFOs, and just do you think that has something to do with the Bigfoot phenomenon?
Personally, yes, I do.
Do you think these things are? Do you think these things are from they're from another world or another dimension?
They've been talking interdimensional, even the Indian tribes from hundreds of years ago, talking about interdimensional beings, and that's what they call them. Star beings, they call them Bigfoot. They've got a bazillion names for them. But this one gentleman I mentioned in the talk down there, he's interviewed, I forgot, well over 100 different Indian tribes, because he's Indian himself, gets to speak to the elders from way back, and he says they're real. He says you'll never tell any Indian on the face of this earth that they're not real. Some of them took them as being gods, but there's been battles between them out in the Midwest and way up in the, like I said, the western part of Canada down along the border with the United States where that big reservation is. He said, there's been all kinds of stuff going on up there, but you don't hear about this stuff. I said, well, big deal. You don't hear about my encounter on television or nothing because they laughed. They laugh about it, It's a big joke. Well, God bless you.
There are a lot of people who have experiences, but they kind of deny the experience because they don't want to believe it. They're just, but it's right there in front of them. They see it, but they're like, no, there was something else. And they're trying to reimagine it, later, trying to debunk it themselves so that they don't have to believe it. Do you do this every year with the...
Yeah, I do it every year. I wasn't even going to do it this year. We wanted to enjoy the festival.
Yeah.
Sit out there, and they booked me as a speaker, and I didn't even know about it. I said, why not? You believe it or not, you get, it gets to me after a while, telling the same thing over and over and over. Well, what I like is when I see the new faces, and you got young people. We try so hard. We've had young kids, 15, 16-year-olds come up, and they want to learn how to do all the investigating part of it. That's great. We need people like that, to carry on after I'm dead and gone, and my wife. And so we had a good-sized group at the time, and just me and my wife are the only two part of this group anymore. That's why we adopted Joe Sorigliano, and they do podcasts, they all kinds of paranormal stuff. Now they're into this Bigfoot stuff with us. And like I said, they film everything. And his daughter is a fanatic with cutting tape, and she's fabulous. And you see what we're seeing. This is nothing that's made up, or it's pretty damn good. I'm glad they joined us.
Do you know how many investigations have you done over the years? Do you do this?
Oh my God. I want to say 75, 100.
How long do they go? Do you go out in the field for like a couple of days, or?
A lot of the reports we get are like 5 years ago. I like the ones that happened yesterday. You're calling me today. We've had a few where we've been right on. It's a true story. We were so close to one in the valleys up there in Hogtown, east shore of Lake George. The water was still running into the track. There was 5 of us there all saw the same thing. And you're looking around like this, not to be seen. A lot of people don't realize these things aren't big, lumbering beasts. They're stealth-like. They can move. So.
Do you know, like, when they take we take a step, it's what, maybe 3 feet? Yeah. So what do you?
Usually your height, you take a step times 2. That's your height.
Do you have a question? Okay, thank you so much. This is going to be on. Well, what'd you think about that?
I thought it was so much fun.
It was.
I thought it was so much fun.
We had a great. I think we had a great time. We enjoyed the ride up there, the anticipation. We spent maybe we left the night before, and then we held up in a hotel. Actually, it was very. I thought it was
a charming inn.
Charming little inn in
Hopewell Junction.
Hopewell Junction, and then we continued.
So we got like the trafficy, iffy portion of the drive out the way, and then we took the scenic route up, and we got there. I think just after the festival started. The foliage up there is just starting to turn, so still primarily green.
Right.
And the hillsides are covered in these, just sort of peppered with, cinnabar and saffron and gold and just all these wonderful jewel tones. And
this town is it's a small town, but it has some history. It's where the U.S. Navy began.
Oh, that's right.
The origins, Whitehall, New York.
That's right, because that's the SS Ticonderoga. They have the hull up there, and they were
not too far from
instrumental up the Hudson, in stopping those English people,
the marauders at the time. But when we got there was all this traffic direction. Basically there were people saying, "No, you can't turn here. You got to go like a mile over the bridge, and then you got to walk back." And so we did that, and we took our new equipment, and we we took the trek, and it was very interesting. They got plaques up there, which we're going to put pictures on the website if you go to our website.
Lots
maybe
of historic
something
plaques.
on the Facebook page too.
Foliage, historic plaques, Bigfoot, and lots of tie-dye, guys.
Lots of tie-dye.
The general sartorial proclivities of the Bigfoot enthusiast.
I think you were
the
mesmerized.
cornerstone
You were
is
mesmerized.
definitely tie-dye.
Yeah. So what do you think of all these interviews? Now there was a lot of music around. It was definitely a festival.
The band was, first of all, if you go to this thing, if you have any slight inclination towards Bigfoot, and you do like the mountains, check it out. The band was amazing.
Right. And then they have food. They have an area where you can have some beer, which we did have a few beers. And but we were able to talk to a lot of people in the booths. I mean, they basically had, I want to say it was like a craft thing, but it was geared toward Bigfoot. So there's a lot of T-shirts and charms and all these different things. But what's also interesting is that the people have made Bigfoot castings.
People who have conducted investigations were bringing their casts.
They were, and so you could see all this stuff on the tables, and so that was a lot of fun. But what'd you think of all the interviews that we did?
Honestly, I thought you got some really, really good interviews. Everybody was so friendly. Everybody seemed to be brought together in consensus.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole spirit of the event was lovely. It wasn't too big, so I didn't get overwhelmed. Unfortunately, it was a beautiful day. We expected a beautiful day, but it was way too sunny for Marjorie to be out all afternoon without a hat, and I didn't have a hat. So I was kind of hiding under a lot of the trees, tents, the gazebo, anywhere I could.
Yeah. But you were really when you were listening back to the Brian Gosselin interview.
Yeah.
Part of this, you got very emotional about it. And you often do get emotional about things. You're very sensitive to when people are talking and telling their story, and you do empathize.
I do
with that. So you were tearing up during that whole thing.
I was seated behind you. The music was so loud that I really couldn't hear much of what he was saying, but I knew the general gist when you asked him how he felt. Brian, Mr. Gosselin, his cheeks started to get flushed, and he got like a little he got a little moist, like a little bit sweaty, and his eyes, his beautiful eyes, started to well up, and it's you can't just, if you're just a normal person, like nobody here is from Hollywood, those deep emotions you can't just conjure up at the turn of a dime.
No.
And he was very moved recounting the story, and God bless him for telling the story to us in private again.
Yeah.
Because he's done this year after year after year, because I think he feels a stewardship for this creation, and I think he's hoping that he can communicate this to the younger generations, and he's happy that younger generations of people want to pursue this and pursue it with a sense of nobility and reverence. And
there's lots of interviews on. I mean, if you look on YouTube, but there's also these Bigfoot documentaries that feature Brian Gosselin, and so if you want to see more of him, you can look that stuff up.
I think what really stuck out about his interview about the emotion, when he said, you feel emotions that you never knew you had. And that is a very common thread in our podcast with people who've experienced things that they didn't know that they could.
Right.
Like Eben Alexander and his his near-death experience. And all the people who were kind enough to participate in that Angel Studios movie titled After Death, which we talked about.
We did.
And
we did. It's a good. I think it's one of our best episodes, really.
I agree.
But it's.
I agree. I
think we have a lot of really good episodes.
But you hear that I am feeling feelings that I did not know that I had.
Right.
They fall beyond the border of the checkbox.
Yeah, interesting, right?
Very, very.
Do you believe more in Bigfoot now? I know I do.
I'm glad you do. Oh no, I have always believed, and I've been mercilessly made fun of my whole life.
Yeah. Well, look, people who say they're going to invent something, and then people laugh at them because it hasn't been done before, and then all of a sudden they come up with the thing, and then they market it, and now it's main place. And it's like, and then you go back to those people. Oh yeah, we totally believe that this guy was a genius. It's like in the aftermath, but before that, you're basically considered a goofball,
loony.
A loony.
Yeah.
And I don't consider anybody that is coming out like this and telling this story, because I believe they experienced something very profound.
Mm-hmm.
And so, there could be a person that is crazy, but they believe it in their head. The difference here is that a lot of people say the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they have an encounter, and they all describe it pretty much the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And so, there's an old saying which I don't want to repeat, but it's kind of like, what is it? 1,000 people can't be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's if they all have this kind of experience, and that must be something to it. Then.
And even Mr. Gosselin, he said, "Look, they're not all lying. They're not all of them lying." He said,
No.
He said, I feel that, and a term that you've used often, which I think is fitting, it gives a black eye to the people who have legitimate experiences when you have people making videos of like anything.
Yeah, there was
it's definitely this, or it's definitely a UFO, or it's definitely an alien. It's absolutely a Sasquatch.
Wasn't there a recent documentary done that the guy was basically made it all up? It was just to get the attention and get the views and stuff like that on YouTube and stuff like that. That happens, and yes, there are people out there that definitely they're doing it for a different reason, and it's just to get attention. And but I don't believe any of the people that I talked to at this event. I don't believe any of them are making this stuff up. I think they're all very serious about it. And I think you have to look at this stuff with an open mind.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad it's turned you around a little bit.
Well, I don't want to say...
I don't mean, like, I guess selfishly, I suppose. No, but it's good that it's...
No, when, like I said, when you talk with people and you see that emotion... it's...
and when they all say, and sorry to interrupt you, I apologize, but when they all say this, there's this quality to the call that the Sasquatch makes that is not any animal that a real outdoors person knows, even just a human. It's... people say they use the word guttural, but that's because we don't have really an adjective in our language. It has the gravitas and the resonance of an elephant.
Yeah.
And so many people say this, and that it can rattle you, that you literally feel it in your cells.
They do this thing every year around the same time. The Whitehall Sasquatch. And you could actually, like I said, you could look this stuff up on YouTube, and actually they have a Sasquatch call or calling event, which is
contest.
Yes, it's a contest, and all these people lined up. And we didn't cover this on the podcast. We were talking about it, and the thing is, it went long. I mean, there had to be close to 100 kids.
There were 57 children in the children's division, everybody below the age of 16.
Yeah. 57
kids. And let me tell you, if you love children and you want a really good laugh, some of these kids were amazing. And it's adorable. Absolutely adorable.
Right.
Little number 57. Okay, just to give you a picture. The last little whippersnapper to tiny, absolutely tiny. Half his face was painted Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Okay, they had face painters at the festival.
Yeah, this was a little peanut of a kid.
Tiny, and he waddles up to the microphone, and I was like, "Oh, aren't you cute?" And he absolutely blew it out of the park.
He blew it out.
It was like reverberating on the hillside across the river.
About 20 seconds of like that. And
I couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah.
And literally, then they gave the judges sort of, whatever, equivocated. They awarded the awards, first prize, runner up, what have you. And literally 5 minutes later, I see this little child's number 57, his mother, walking by, carrying him like a sack of potatoes, completely passed out. Like,
passed out. He gave it his all.
It took the stuffings right out of him.
He did. So the adults in this calling contest was incredible too, because that had to be close to 100 people out there.
It was a long
line of people bellowing into a microphone. Some of them very good, but we actually did not stay for the full thing, because after a while, it can give you a headache. And I was
grateful for the bottle of ibuprofen we keep in our glove box, darling.
So we listened to most of it, but we didn't stay for the whole thing because it was
but I
too
was
much.
not about to leave halfway through the children.
No,
I was going to clap for every single one.
We got through that and halfway through the adults, I think.
Pipsqueak.
And part of the reason of us leaving at that time was to beat the traffic out. Kind of like at a bowl game.
It was like a one lane. It was like a one lane. There was one lane for automobiles and another lane for equestrian transportation.
And we made it out alive, which is amazing. I would recommend, if you're into this stuff, I'd recommend going. It is the Whitehall Sasquatch Festival. It is every fall, and normally at the end of September. Beautiful Adirondack. Yes.
Preserve.
Can't beat it. Small town up in the sticks, away from Lake George, New York. And if we had to get a hotel in Saratoga, the Saratoga area, which is a lot of restaurants and stuff like that. And
you know what? I'm sorry. I just want to pop back. One element that I really moved me was the gentleman you interviewed, and I'm sorry I'm blanking on his name. I didn't write down my notes. Where he left a hamburger out.
Oh, okay.
And it was taken, and in its stead was a rock in the equivalent size
right.
as a thank you gift. And I have to say that I found that detail very moving.
Well, you can go back and listen to it. You find out his name. He actually has a book, and you can order his book on Amazon.
Oh, let's get that one too.
Yeah, and his stuff is pretty interesting. So, anyway, would you do this again? You would do this again.
I'm not next year.
Not next year. Maybe skip a year and do it.
I would skip a year.
Yeah. But if you want something fun to go to and you're into this stuff, there's even if you just want
to have a Facebook page, Whitehall Sasquatch Festival.
There you go. You check that out. And then all the vendors that are there that have Sasquatch-related merchandise, which is kind of neat. And then you get to see the actual castings of the Bigfoot prints. And so that's excellent.
And some handprints.
And some
knuckle prints.
Yeah. It was very impressive. I was very impressed by it. So we would go back, maybe not next year, but
some other time.
Maybe we'll be invited as guests.
Oh.
I don't know, or maybe not.
But I don't think we're that pertinent to the Bigfoot community. I've never,
not yet.
I haven't seen one yet, but I'm looking for you.
You're looking for it, but all right. So we got another great show next week.
We do,
and we're not going to tell you what it is yet.
Okay.
We're not going to say nothing.
We don't have
They'll have to come back and guess. Well, we'll post something on the Facebook page.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.
We hope you enjoyed our journey to the Sasquatch Festival in Whitehall.
Yeah, we enjoyed it, and we hope you enjoyed it too. And we'll see you all next time on the
Back to Paranormal
podcast. See you, everybody. God bless you.
Good night. God bless.